Hiya everyone, I'm sorry I'm late. Yes, Frank is late. Got up late. Not got up late, but I got a shower when it was too late. Looked at the time, thought it was 6 o'clock. And then half 6 I normally get a shower and but it was half 7. So I had to get a shower at half 7. Anyway, there I am, and it's going to be good tonight. I've got, I hope, our friend Anthony Brown on, but it's gonna be good because I'll be talking about some characters, and I'll also be talking about some painters as well, artists, which will be right down Anthony's street. And these people unfortunately go unnoticed. Yet I suppose that you have seen some of their paintings, but I'll be talking about them in the latter part of the show after the clip, that we normally show. Just let me adjust these lights, please. Please let me adjust them if I can. Figure out. It's the worst. I can't do these things. Absolutely useless. Yeah, I am useless. Don't even know where the thing is. What I've just turned on. Oh, blimey, is it that go? No, that's not. I give up. I give up. I really give up. I just started a minute ago. I can't. Oh, dear, there it is. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, blimey, that's worse, isn't it? Told you, didn't I? I'm useless. Let's see if that's okay. No, well, I'll have to do. So, I'll have to do. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's what it'll be in the second half of the show. We'll be, talking about some characters. I'll be talking about God knows what I'll be talking about, but I've got some pictures to show. And when the pictures come up, I'll be talking about it. I really will be talking about it. And I'm talking about ordinary pictures. I'm not talking about artist paintings. That's later on. That's later on. And I just want to thank Gap Painting Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle Show. Domestic and commercial paintings and fully and decorated. They're fully time served, these lads. They really are. They're fully timed. They're unbelievable. And what we've got as well, not only are the lads fully time served, they're also fully insured. They're absolutely brilliant. They go in, they come, they do your job, clean, tidy, everything. And as I said, they're fully insured just in case of an accident, just in case. Uh, so you're okay. You're okay because they're fully insured. Dead reasonable. Even if you're not an OAP or an NHS worker where you get a great discount. But also, if you're ordinary and, you're not a pensioner, you're not a national health worker, they're very reasonable. Believe you me, they're very, very reasonable. And there's the number on there. And it's 0798 628 6357. And it's always on the thing anyway, when you scroll down, it's always there. 0798 628 6357. Give them a call and you're away. Honestly, you're away. They're really good. So let's get started, eh? Let's get started on this historical journey, as they say, an historical journey. Some people might see me on the telly this week for the Channel 5. I did something for them. Charles Dickens, about Charles Dickens, which was all right, because nice girl, the presenter. It's really nice chatting to her and about Dickens and down at the Pierhead by the Maritime Museum. Not exactly on the Maritime Museum thing, but facing it. I was down there. I was at this prison as well, a Bridewell, which is very interesting actually. So if you'd like to tune in, I think it's on 9 o'clock this Friday. I won't be able to watch it because, believe it or not, my terrestrial television is off. And I've got one in the bedroom as well, and that's off. But I get me streams and that, through my Fire Stick. So, but I still won't be able to watch that thing. Not that I do watch myself. I really don't. I hate watching myself on things. It's very rare that I watch DVDs that I've made. It's very rare that I've watched. I always remember Jared phoning me up. He says, "You're on the telly." I said, "Am I?" He said, "Yeah, I'm watching you now." And it was in a documentary. It was in a documentary about the 1605 gunpowder plot for some History Channel. He said, "You're on, I'm looking at you now." So I wouldn't even watch myself on there for some reason. Just don't like looking at myself. Anyway, shall we start, eh? Shall we go? And let's go on with this. And this particular thing here, as you know, is part of the overhead railway. Look at it. Look how solid it is. Just look at it. Because one of the first demolition firms to go in to pull it down after 60 years went bankrupt because they couldn't do it in time. Because you'd have to give it time when it'll all come down and whatever. But those stanchions are absolutely solid. And it was bombed during the war, during the May Blitz. A bomb hit it. Didn't destroy it, just a little bit of a section. And they built it up again. Took no time to build it up again. And it was still running right through the war. And yet, after the war, they wanted £2 million for new plates to put in the length and breadth of the railway itself. The length and breadth of it, new plates, £2 million. The unfortunate thing was, after the war, there was no money there to be had. But just imagine that today. Because even going back then, the overhead railway was immense. It was a tourist attraction. And during its 60-year span, it had 73 million passengers. Think about that. 73 million passengers. And all the tourists, we get hundreds of thousands of tourists each year in this country. In this city. And imagine them, just say like 1 million people came here every year. Don't forget, we have festivals and loads of tourists come here, and it's unbelievable. So I'm just putting a figure there, like 1 million. And you charge that 1 million £2. That's £2 million in the coffers every year. Do you understand where I'm coming from with this? because, people would, ordinary Liverpool people would use it anyway. So that's in between tourism and the ordinary citizens of Liverpool. And it's just one of those things, it annoys me, put it that way. It was the first electrified overhead railway in the entire world. The entire world. That everybody copied it. Everybody. Those Americans copied it. Well, you see them running today, especially in New York, and also in Chicago. So they copied our overhead, and it's a shame that we pulled it down. It was iconic. It was the first in the world. And there are buildings that we have pulled down in the last few years, again, which were firsts in the world. And one of them was on Commutation Row, where there was lots of Georgian buildings, and it blended in with the city. And right in the middle of the building, this row, this Commutation Row, is the only row in the entire country that was exempt from taxes. The only row. So anyway, in the middle of it stood Edwin Rushton's blind school, 1794. He opened up this blind school. And the blind school, believe it or not, was the first ever in the world to help people who were blind. And there was lots of people, who were blind through no fault of their own, through sheer poverty, getting diseases. There was lots of sailors, they became blind simply because when they went to different parts of the world, they caught these diseases and it affected the eyesight, and they became blind. So it helped them, and it also helped the military who were blinded. What you don't hear of, very rarely you hear of, is that during battles, and I'm talking about muskets, some muskets just blew, and it blinded the soldier who was firing. You never ever hear about that. It doesn't ever crop up in conversations or in history, for example. But they used to be blinded. So it was good for them. So it was good for the sailors, it was good for the soldiers, it was good for the ordinary people. Edwin Rushton's blind school. The first ever in the world to open its doors to help the blind. We in Liverpool pulled it down. Just want to say hello to these wonderful people. And Daryl Merry. Love you, Frankie. Thank you, Daryl. Love you back. George Reynolds. These are all football fans. These are all Liverpool football fans. Bless up, Frank, says Daz. Thank you. Tony LFC. Now then, Frankie, hope all's well. Yes. And a pint for me. There's a pint there. And keep it real. What's happening, Frankie boy? Thumbs up. What's happening? These are all football fans, they go on pods that I go on, and I do a few comments and things like that. But try and join me tomorrow night, lads, because I've got it on. I've got the podcast on tomorrow. We'll be talking about everything LFC. And Zaz says, keep it real. Keep it real. Is Jamie live tomorrow? If he is, what time did he say? Well, I know, I don't know where I had to get off, did I, because I was doing this particular pod. I forgot all about the time. I really did. I really did. I thought it was 6:30 when I jumped in the shower. And it was 7:30, jumped in the shower. Anyway, Alden Ellis, Evening Frank and Anthony, hope you're both well. I haven't seen Anthony. I don't know where he is. I think something's wrong with us. So you'll just might have to have me for the night, unfortunately for you. Anyway, very York. Hi Frank, looking forward to seeing you on TV this Friday with Susan Calman on Channel 5. Yeah, I'm I'm talking about Charlie Dickens, because he loved coming to Liverpool. He loved Liverpool. And not only does he love Liverpool, but I'll surprise you, he actually loved and said it was the best hotel in the world. And that was the Adelphi, but not the Adelphi that you see today. This was the original one. Beautiful hotel. And he said it was the finest hotel in the world. And he used to stay there when he gave his penny readings at St. George's Hall. And I think Dad says, what time are you on Friday, Frank? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And both my telly stuff, they work, they work, if you know what I mean. But I can't get terrestrial television. I just don't know what's wrong. Something might be wrong with the aerial. I don't know. Everything is digitalized. And the next, I was trying to fix it. And I hate new tellies, Remember when we used to buy a telly? You just put it in, put the aerial in, turn it on. You used to have like a little, either a little remote, or before the remote, you used to just click and you go to a channel. Now they want passwords, identity. And I'm as useless as anything, with chocolate fire guards where passwords are concerned. Absolutely useless. And they were asking me for a bloody password. Is this you? Yeah, it is me. Have you got your password? I know what they mean, in case it's been stolen or whatever, your TV. But I still think it's wrong to ask the likes of me and many millions of others for bloody passwords to get your telly back on. But I think there's something wrong with the aerial, in my opinion. Well, watch it, says Lynn. And as she says again, so easy now, Frank. Get a TV that don't want to know the inside and out. I know, but you've got to get these smart tellies. You've got to get these smart tellies, unfortunately. But then, I have anyway. And Vera says, I've stayed at the Adelphi, as Lynn will confirm when we're looking around down in the bar, and how bad it was. Stayed there for Doddy's funeral, but I've seen photos of how grand it was. Well, if you're talking about the one that's there now, yeah, absolutely magnificent. A fellow named Frank Allison, he designed it. Atkinson, I'm sorry. He designed it, and he did his best. And what he did was it Atkinson. Anyway, he did the Sefton Suite, which is an exact replica of the smoking room on the Titanic. Exact replica. Everything from the furniture to the paintwork to the wallpaper, exactly how it was. So that's a feature, you know, if you ever go back in there and go into the smoking, well, it's the septum suite, and look around, and you'll know that you'll be on the Titanic in the smoking room. Fantastic. Lots of people don't know that, by the way. Lots. Anyway, Vera says, oh, Lynn says, Vera on the Adelphi, oh, the Adelphi was disgusting, the toilets were vile. Thanks very much for coming on with about toilets. But anyway, getting back to the overhead, that's what it's about. The overhead, they wanted 2 million quid for new plates, and they decided to pull it down instead. An iconic structure that was the envy of the world. And we decided, yeah, tell you what, let's pull it down. Let's make a few bucks by pulling it down. All that scrap. Shows you, doesn't it? And what they were saying is the preservationists, they were going around saying, well, hang on, you can't do this. You can't pull this down. Do you realise what piece of engineering this is? Finest of the 19th century. They said, oh, well, the buses are taken over now. The buses. That's what their excuse was, the buses. You say to yourself, don't you, will you behave yourself? Absolutely ridiculous. And then says, the day before Ken Dodd's funeral was bad. Bingo in the main lounge and tramps coming in and begging. Tramps coming in and begging. They're not called tramps anymore, Lynn. They're called homeless. They're called homeless. But that's the way, that's the way it is. And when you look at that, now think about this. This is the pier head. This is the landing stage. And the landing stage was the biggest in the world at one time. And it was unbelievable. This is when the big liners came in. The big liners used to dock there. Now, if you look to your right, of the photograph, what you're seeing there, this is a liner in, because look at the decks that go up with the, the lifeboats, shall we say, with the lifeboats, and they go from deck to deck. So that's a big liner. Someone's just taken a photograph of the pier head, the way it was, going back then, which is absolutely amazing. Amazing. And why it's, this landing stage is a part of where the liners used to come in, where this is now. And you see the gangways, if you look carefully, the gangways leading up to board the ship. It's not ferry. The ferries were further down, facing the library and the Cunard building. So they were further down. So this side was for the massive liners that came into Liverpool. And look at it now, gone. Gone. And it's a bloody shame. I can see something there which it's hard to point out to you. And it's a shame. It's a shame because it was John Foster Sr.'s swimming baths, and it was beautiful. I'll try and get a picture of it. That was on the waterfront, and it was only pulled down 20th century. It's only pulled down then. Let's pull this down. Yeah, okay. Romanesque, beautiful building, beautiful. The design was incredible. And we pulled it. I'll try and get it there for half time. I'll try and get it for half time. I'll put it up and you'll see what I mean. But I can see it now. I can see it. But you won't be able to, unfortunately. So I'll get it after half time and show you. Gary says, Gary Rigby, that is, did you miss my comment, Frankie? I don't know. Did you put on this, you mean? I don't know. Did you put a comment on? Unless it's something else. No. I must have done whatever it was, Gary. I must have done. I hope Anthony's there. Anthony.
Oh, Frank. Good evening. I think I've been to orbit and back. Now, technology is a wonderful thing, and I'm looking at that beautiful photo you got there, and we move on in many, many ways, but we're at the beck and call of some little geek or nodget that says, Wi-Fi not working, this not working, that's not working. You know, I'm living in a house where I want a TV with just turn it on and turn it off. I don't want 4,000 channels. You know, I just want stuff that works. And same with computers. And I've been on it today, set it up. It's okay. And, you know, and then technology is, you know.
But the point is, Anthony, is I've just been talking about that now because my terrestrial channels have gone on both my televisions, one in the living room and one in my bedroom, and that's gone off. But what they want is passwords and everything.
Every 5 minutes. Or you know what? I've spent my I taught myself computers and stuff years ago when art and computers were mixing. So in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was kind of you either pay someone an extortionate amount of money to scan in your artwork or to do something for you, or you get to grips with computers. So we bought a very early, kind of ripped off with an Apple computer, but it was a training for me. I learned how to use it, and for many years that's what I've been doing. And my curse with Apple, because they are the biggest conglomerate, is that you will not have a device long enough to master it because they will move the goalposts. And unofficially, it's 4 or 5 years, and then they'll shut it down. Yeah. So you have to buy another one, upgrade. People shouldn't need to do that, and people can't afford to do that. And it's the same with TVs. You know, it's the same with everything. Technology is great.
Everything, as I said, it's about bloody passwords. Anyway, I was just talking about. The wonderful public baths that was on the pier head front, and they were built in the 1770s by John Foster Senior. No, the 1780s.
Wow.
And it's amazing. And I was saying, I'll get it done after. I'll look for it and get it done. And Jason went.
Oh, fantastic!
And there it is.
Wow.
And they only pulled it down, I think in the 50s or 60s.
Gosh,
Absolutely beautiful.
I don't remember. I remember the new Brighton baths,
Yeah.
and because they lasted a little bit longer before they pulled them down. But that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, it was, and it wasn't for the likes of me and you. We couldn't afford to go in additional for the, the
Oh,
tops
I
that
see.
lived in the city. Because
Oh,
if you can, imagine like 1790, if
no
you know,
plain water.
and it was fresh water, believe it or not, and they had two baths inside there, one with fresh and one with salt. So it's whatever you choose or
Yeah,
chose, to go into.
yeah,
Absolutely amazing, and they pulled it down. And that's the same stone, believe it or not, as in the background where you see the Port of Liverpool building, the white
yes.
being built, which opens in 1907. So that's the way that is. That or the stone. Could you imagine that there today?
Oh, you know what? This is a first for me, Frank. I've not
Really,
seen that. I've not seen any of it. You know that's my
it
God.
is amazing, isn't it? It really is.
The beautiful the stuff we had.
I know.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
Well,
So
Gary Rigby says to you, evening, Anthony.
evening, Gary. Sorry to keep you. Sorry to keep everyone.
And Tony LFC, hello, Anthony, Liverpool's finest artist.
Thank you, Tony. That's very kind of you to say thank you. Sorry, I've missed the beginning, but I'll make up with it. I'll do detention.
And Lynn Ellis says, unfortunately, Anthony, it's a throwaway society now.
It is,
Which it
Lynn.
is.
Absolutely, it is. And I think with all of us have found in different degrees, when you master a device and you know how to look after that thing, and then they keep moving the goalposts, it's more than a little frustrating. Yeah,
Yes, it is. It
yeah,
is. It is. And Lynn Ellis says, New Brighton Bats was always Baltic. It was freezing.
yeah.
Our Francine was down before, and Jason, he got me I give him a picture, a black and white picture. And I said, there's all my mates there. Little, one of those little ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, he took it off me and he got it blown up. And
Oh,
unfortunately, most of them have died. They passed on. These are my mates. These are my good friends. And what Lynn's just said there, Francine said, where were you stairs at? I said, oh, we were in New Ferry Bats. I said, I'll never forget it. And she said, what was it like? I said, well, it was good. I said, we used to just lie on the grass. I said, because one of the lads, this is on the day this photograph was taken, and his name was Mugger Smith. It was Georgie Smith, but we always called him Mugger. Anyway, he was the first undressed, and he jumped in, right?
yeah.
Jumped in the water, and we went, what's it like, Mug? And he went, it's, it's, and he was going blue.
That's a sign.
And
We'll give you a bit of this.
Gracie said, and no one got in. It's the only one he got out, and he never went back in.
Uh,
It's and Gracie said, so funny, honestly.
he who dares.
Yeah. But, Mugger passed on, he's one of our great
You
mates,
know,
and he
but
passed on.
that's the absolute beauty of photography. I think
Yeah.
in our life, because life moves too quick. We can't control it, and but we have our memories. We have the things that we shared. I value them more than anything. Doesn't matter how much money we have in the bank. Doesn't mean a tap.
Nothing.
No.
Means nothing. And look at that. Gary says, about that swimming baths on the pier head. And it gives you a good idea where it was situated, especially in the background, just to the right of it, was is the Port of Liverpool building. And as he says, it must have been knocked down when I was little or before I was born. It depends on when you were born. It came down in the 60s or 70s. I remember it.
Yeah, I was born 61, but I remember going to Pierhead, obviously, and travelling and stuff around, and the buses generated. And I remember the sights and sounds and smells, but I don't remember the baths. No. New Brighton baths, and Laney's family have got so many photos of them at New Brighton baths and stuff, and
well, it was a day out.
Yeah, I'm reading that in a book that the owners of Blackler's, our beautiful Blackler's store, an annual gift to the staff. There would be a day at New Brighton where they go to the baths and they go wherever that rivaled any seaport in the country, I think.
Yes, of course it did.
Yeah,
of course it did. We had the biggest docks in the world at one time.
Yeah,
the biggest docks. We were the first to have a dock.
Yeah.
In 1715 when it opened.
Yeah.
Like a fella named Thomas Steers, a Dutchman, but he anglicised his name and called him Thomas Steers because there was a Thomas Steers in town near the docks, if you know what I mean. Thomas Steers' house. So that's what, that's Liverpool for you.
Yeah.
Well, the negative side, albeit we had these iconic buildings, the negative is that they got rid of them. The likes of the swimming baths, the likes of the. See, I'll just go back to the overhead. Just go back and look at that. Look at the stanchions.
That's like Paris or Rome or China or
of course
Singapore, New York.
And they copied it because we were the first to have it.
Was it sections of our overhead railway? Didn't it go to San Francisco?
Well, it went. There was a couple of items, but one of them was carriages. And another thing that when we stopped, which absolutely ridiculous, was the trams. The trams. And I don't know whether it's still running or it's in a museum in San Francisco. It was our last tram, 1957. It went over there.
I think it was still running in recent years. My dad, who's sadly passed now, but he was a very proud Scouse, and he and my mum took a trip to the west coast of America, and he was absolutely amazed to find that sections of what we had are still in use over there.
Do you know what I'm doing in the second half of the show? You're gonna be made up what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a couple of artists that are unknown, and yet Liverpool artists, that is.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to the 18th century. Not the 18th, the 19th century, the 1800s. Yeah. And these people, Anthony, were fantastic. And I'd like your opinions
Uh,
And if you don't mind, but that's in the second draft.
I'd love
That's
to
in the
go with
second
you.
draft. Because some fella did this of me, you know. I'm gonna show you it now. So I don't know who he was, you know. Anyway, he did this.
Can't imagine I can do that. Yeah. Yes. I can see the castle in there.
What you think of that then?
He must be an unknown. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There's a certain beauty in being unknown. It's a weird thing, and as we develop, I hate the thing of where the people are built up to something that they are not.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally agree.
this whole
Totally agree.
thing of fame for nothing. When you
Yeah.
have artists, musicians, writers, historians, and whose name we should know, and we don't. And it's kind of cool that we don't, because the ones that we do know are steeped in celebrity, and celebrity is bought with the poison dollar, and you come and you go. And the great Andy Warhol said, "We're all allowed 15 minutes of fame." So these fanatical people queue up, whether you be the ex president of the United States who's trying to make a comeback, or the like. It's that celebrity that gives them the status. Not
Do you think it's a little bit of egotism with them?
Yes, massive so, and I think you find most genuine um, writers and artists um, and musicians don't do it on an ego trip. They do it. They do it to share what they've done, or as we've talked often about the old Celtic myth of sitting around the fire and
Yeah,
telling stories, enhancing someone's education by giving them volunteering information. No,
yeah.
and it's that which is beautiful in my way. But you know,
Well, Redbird says, I think this is low. He's paid me a heavy compliment here. He says, you can't beat a bit of history from the man, the
no,
legend, Mr. Liverpool himself, Frank and his sidekick, Anthony. People, if you don't hit the like for these two guys, shame on you.
thank you, Redbeard. And I full-heartedly support that because he is the man, and uh, I've been fortunate. Me and Laney have been fortunate to share over 20 years of his expertise and his humour. You know, and
Do you
it
know? Do you know what, Anthony? Just before I came on, I get to, I was up at Billings last Friday.
yes, and I'm so sorry we weren't there. How did it go?
Well, it was brilliant. I was talking about Jack the Ripper, you know.
Yeah,
And when I went, they were. It was very professional the way they had it. They had a big poster. I'll show you it. I've got it somewhere. I'll show you it at our time. I have got
wow,
it somewhere. A poster I brought. I said, "Can I have that?" He said, "Yeah." So I'll show you it. Anyway, they were all there anticipating. There was a big screen behind me, where all the, like Jack the Ripper and newspaper headlines that had all
yeah.
the faces of the five victims,
So they
And
obviously watched the show,
yeah, well, I'm
and I've
standing
seen what
there.
you did.
Yeah, but I'm standing there, right? So, and the fella, brilliant introduction, and they're all clapping. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
I got the mic like this, And I said, "Oh, thank you for the rapturous applause." I said, "But I said I can't do this. I can't do Jack the Ripper tonight." I said, "So to make up for it, I'm going to sing for 2 hours or so sea shanties, and I'd like you all to join in with me if you know the songs." Like, honestly, honest, Anthony, he was sitting there like that.
Could have heard a pin drop.
So we give a little,
And
I just
who
started.
come on, Anthony? Come on, Frank.
It's not that funny. And he was just, anyway, I just went, I'm only kidding. And then I went into it, Went into it, yeah. But I got a message there, a phone call. And there was a lady, well, there was a few people there. And this lady came over to me and she said, can I have your number? And she introduced herself, who she was. So I said, yeah, sure. So anyway, I gave her my number. She said, I've only come along to see if you're good or not. I said, oh, that's nice, But anyway, I was talking to her after that. And she went, that was great, that. And so she's just phoned me up because I gave her a couple of things,
Yeah.
And this person came over and he knew it. And he said, tell him to, if you're taking them on to talk about the 1605 gunpowder plot. So she just phoned me there and she said, can you give me a little synopsis? I said, yeah. So I gave her a little synopsis and she went, can I book you for the 8th of May? I said, yeah, sure.
Wow.
But this is at a university,
So is that back in Billinge?
No, it's up in St. Helens. It's in St. Helens.
Wow.
St. Helens, But I don't think it's far from Billings. I don't know.
No.
So how about that, mister?
That's brilliant.
I don't know what day the 8th of May is, but if you'd like to come with me.
We will check it out. We will make sure we can, yeah.
And just come over and stay with me because I'm going to get picked up and you'll be brought back. And then you can just jump in your car and get off after a cup of tea with me. How's that?
And I'll bring my friend Johnny Walker with me. And Laney would absolutely love that because I've talked her through that what you put out on air for us and the guys, and she's totally blown away with that. So yeah,
that's lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Warm weather.
Yeah. Oh, there's Will P. Will P. Hi, Frank Carlyle. So many lovely old buildings were pulled down and replaced with these hideous glass building. Yes.
Yeah.
Whichever the character. Whichever the character. Do you know what, Will? Do you know like stargaze, don't you? You've heard me talking about stargazing. Well, Will Pease is a Liverpool lad, and he goes on the same site, but I look at an airport as well, or a couple of airports, in Greenland.
Yeah.
And Will, he's got all the information. He tells you about planes, and I was talking to him this morning, and I said, what's that for, and what's this for? And I'm just like that,
Wow.
Just great, he answered me. And go on.
Did you catch any of the beautiful skies yesterday?
Yeah. Yes. I was watching late last night, well, at the early hours in the morning. I was looking at the skies, and you want to see the stars. Absolutely amazing. And I seen this thing coming across like that, and then it went out. Then say like it was there, and a bit further along, say like here, it opened up again, and then carried on, and I went from there like that, and then back again, and I couldn't find my phone to video it.
Oh my God.
Couldn't get it. And I was wanted when he comes on again, because I remember that picture I shown, and I said to Gerard,
Yeah.
"What's that?" Well, that definitely wasn't a fallen rocket.
No. A boomerang star.
Yeah, oh, there's no way. But they don't like admitting. But he's a lovely man. And I would have loved to have said, "What's that?" Because I went like that.
Yeah.
It was like a star. I thought it was a star.
Yeah.
Because as I said, it was very bright. And then it all of a sudden it moved like that,
Yeah.
that way. And then
Yeah.
it went out. Then it came back right in the same place where this stopped.
Yeah.
And lit up again and went back that way. But it never went dead quick. It was slow. No strobes, no nothing. It was just a bright light.
You've got to bring it up with Gerard when he comes back on. You know,
Yeah.
Gerard is a lovely guy. He's one of us. So he'll
Oh,
explain it in a way that we'll all understand. No.
I really appreciate that comment, Reb. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And off you as well. And Gary Rigby says, don't think it would have been the 70s, to be honest, Frank. We were always in the period. Yeah, as I said, it was either the 50s or the early 60s.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned to Anthony before, going over to New Brighton, either to the Fair or New Brighton Bats. I used to love going to that Fort Perch Rock because I had this was a fort, when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm in a fort. Incredible. And, there, when I became a historian, I know about it.
It's a beautiful photo throughout the night and the fort there, no? It's still a beautiful day out. We go with the kids and do the old stuff, get a bag of chips and sit on the side of the water. Birkenhead Town Hall.
Isn't that beautiful?
When Lainey and I were married.
Did you get married in there?
We did, yeah. Countless thousands of other people up there. But I love the building.
It's fantastic.
It's been such a part of our life, and I believe, I don't know all the history, but I believe it was financed or built by John Laird with the Laird family as a gift to the people of Birkenhead.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and that's immensely a wonderful thing to do. But what I don't understand is that generations later, why should it be Birkenhead Council who take the decision that we can sell it? I thought it was a gift to the people of Birkenhead.
They can sell anything they put their hands to, these people. It was like they were going to knock down, which is the landmark of Over the Water, is St. Peter's Church.
Yeah.
They wanted to knock that down. I don't know whether you're aware of that.
No.
I don't know whether you're aware of that. And I remember getting a phone call, and this fella said to me, can you help us to keep it? I said, there's no way, no. I said, because, you know, you must have somebody over there. They went, we've got nobody like you. Can you come and save it, you know? So anyway, I did a few things. I don't know whether I saved it, but at least it's still there today. At least.
Okay. Over here, the same as Liverpool, and the same type of town planners. I think don't remember the details, but I remember the wonderful gentleman. He's a comic. He's a singer, John Gorman from the Scaffold.
Oh, John, yeah.
Being involved in saving the town hall. Yeah. And he wanted to use it as an arts hub, as a centre of excellence. You know, not just for artists, painters, but and I don't know how that panned out. And obviously it's still here.
That's just going back a few years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Say anything like that. Say, if you think about this, please think about this. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to the people out there. Do you ever remember Ken Dodd? He wanted to buy Tingwall Hall.
Yeah.
And he wanted to open it up as a big, like, comedy museum.
Yeah.
But he said to me, he said, it's not going to be just a comedy thing. I said, oh, that's great, that Ken. You know, I hope it all becomes very successful. Now, think about this. All of a sudden, there was arson.
Yeah. And
there's a massive fire, but they tried to save it, so that everyone was made up. Oh, it's going to be, going to be open, and a bang, another arson attack, and then it was pulled down eventually because it became unsafe then. So it was pulled down. Ken, was so upset. Then you have, the likes of what you've been talking about with John Gorman. Now, if you look again at Jamie Carragher, for example, Jamie Carragher wanted to open up the old Forum, the ABC on Lime Street.
Yeah.
He wanted it as a casino and a hotel.
That was like 15, 20 years, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it was the first big name that attached himself to a inner city building. Yeah,
so right. And it's an Art Deco building anyway. And they refused them because they said that the capital of culture was going in there. I knew they weren't. They weren't, because I was always going. They would always send it for me, the capital of culture. I said, come to my class and learn about it. I said, you're always sending for me. They still owe me money, I will pay you at the end of everything. I said, okay. Never got a penny off them. Capital culture. Not one penny. Look, I'm going to have a quick break, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of artists. Is that okay with you?
That's brilliant, Gaffer.
Okay, mate. Let's have a go at this.
Say this city's name almost anywhere in the world, and people will recognise it. Whether that's for its football,
Fabinho's got some space, he's got three up there with him, and he squeezes it through the legs!
its rich history, or the music that was born here. Because as British cities go, few are more iconic than Liverpool.
The friendliness of people here has really taken me aback.
From the welcoming nature of the people here to their unique accents, Liverpool feels different. Some Scousers, as people from Liverpool are called, think of it a bit like a city-state, separate from the rest of the country. And many don't identify with England at all, displaying banners like "Scouse not English." Liverpool fans have even been known to boo the British national anthem at football games. So what's this divide all about, And why has Liverpool ended up so different from the rest of the country? We were here to find out. Let's jump forward a little closer to the present. Almost 40 years since the end of World War II and the independence of India, and the British Empire was long gone. Add to that changes in shipping practices, like containerisation, and Liverpool's docks were becoming less and less important compared to other ports like Dover. Less trade meant fewer jobs, and unemployment and poverty skyrocketed to some of the highest rates in the UK. The city was suffering. Enter Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of Britain through the 80s from 1979 to 1990. And this is where it gets dark. Because rather than invest in Liverpool to get it back on its feet, her government planned a strategy of managed decline.
What the Conservative government wanted to do, they wanted to manage decline a city, and Liverpool was chosen. Don't invest in it, don't do anything. It's like getting a balloon, blowing it up and just letting it out slowly. And you just see it slowly degenerate into nothing. The Conservative MP, she said, I'd like to build a wall around Liverpool to show future generations how we lived or how they lived. And that was shocking. That was shocking to manage to decline a city as strong as Liverpool.
Some in the government saw the 1981 Toxteth riots in Liverpool, which were sparked by racism in the Merseyside police force, as an opportunity to start this managed decline, or strategic abandonment.
More than 100 white and coloured youths fought a pitched battle against the police. At daylight, the police began a series of charges to break up the gangs massed in front of them.
All this unrest and the government's response pushed Liverpool even further from the rest of England. But for a lot of people, it was 1989 that was the last straw. The year of the deadliest sporting event in British history. The Hillsborough disaster. At the semi-final of the FA Cup between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest in Sheffield, Yorkshire, police mismanagement of a crowd of Liverpool fans caused a crush. It took the lives of 97 people and injured another 766. It was the police force's fault, but they covered up their failings, feeding false stories to the press, blaming hooliganism and drunkenness of the fans themselves for the disaster.
And then there was the Hillsborough disaster, which happened on the 15th of April 1989, and I was actually there. I'm a survivor of Hillsborough. Very recently another victim had died, and it used to be 96, now it's 97, because the coroner came out and said that this lad who had recently died has became the 97th unlawful victim. Unlawful. So it was, people are still fighting for justice, unfortunately. And it seemed that everybody, turned their backs on Liverpool. Everybody. I'm talking about the whole of the country. And you had the Sun newspaper who came out with the truth out. It was shocking what they were actually saying about Liverpool fans, and they caused it, and they were drunken yobs, and they were urinating on, the police who were trying to help, and they were also pickpocketing the dead, which was scandalous to say the least. It was scandalous to say these things, and it's shocking to think how people turned their backs, especially against the 97, and there still isn't justice, albeit that they were unlawfully killed. And people still believe that it was the Liverpool fans, but they've been found not guilty of it. They've been exonerated from what the Sun called the truth, and yet they never really apologised. They should have had a front page, and the Sun newspaper is actually banned here.
now you'd have a big Liverpool banner saying Scouse not English, only because of the press and the bad name Liverpool gets.
The lies about Hillsborough were built on negative stereotypes about Scouse people and Liverpool. And it worked. The police spent 30 years blaming the victims, and a lot of people believed what they were saying. When the police force eventually had to pay out compensation for their lies to bereaved families, lawyers called it one of the largest and most shameful cover-ups by a police force in history. Of all these events, the Hillsborough disaster and the injustice that followed are the most fresh in Liverpool's collective memory. It was only in 2016 that an investigation officially placed the blame on the emergency services. So now, over 100 years since Winston Churchill sent gunships up the Mersey River, this city is set apart from the rest of England. And this is what happens when people who feel Scouse not English hear the British national anthem. A lot of people wonder why Liverpool has been treated this way over the last century. Maybe the London press didn't like the city's rebellious nature. Or perhaps classism is to blame, since it's always been a very working class city and an epicentre for the fight for workers' rights. Whatever the reason, Liverpool has been through a lot. And yes, it has the same problems as any major city. But it's about time it was recognised for what it is, not what the media makes it out to be. One of the country's most musical and artistic cities, home to some of the friendliest people in England. The city that gave us the first ever passenger railway, the very first X-ray department, and one of the first ever wireless radio broadcasts. A hub of culture, home to the country's oldest Chinatown, built by people from all over the world, that saw the highest of highs in its heyday and is bouncing back from the lowest of lows it endured in the 20th century.
It's incredible what Liverpool have achieved and what's gone out, but unfortunately we get no credit. And this is what people, they really need to be educated about Liverpool instead of having this negative look at Liverpool. And that's the way I am. And I've always shouted Liverpool from the tops of the roofs.
I've been asked, what does it mean to me to be a Scouser? Well, Scousers are very, very proud people. When I go away and people ask, where are you from? I say Liverpool. They go, oh, you're a Scouser? Yes, of course I'm a Scouser. I don't put on accents. It's the way I speak, because people have said, do you put this accent on? I'm very, very proud to be a Scouser. I will just leave it at that.
Absolutely love it. Do you know what, Frank? You told me to watch that, and I, for one reason and another, I didn't get round to it, but I watched it twice yesterday, and you know what? I love it. I love it even more now. That's the third time. And what the gentleman said in his summing up, and what you said in your summing up. It's a city of pride, Mersey pride. You know,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a wonderful documentary. And if no one's seen it yet, then it's an eye-opener.
Do you know what, though? He's coming back, and I think he's going to do something with me again. You know, the lad.
Brilliant.
I don't know what it'll be like.
Yeah, but fantastic.
Do you know what? It's strange, actually, because people have actually Hang on, I always get messages. Oh, jeez. I just hope it's not a secret. Oh. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, and he's coming on the show, the lads who made that, in April.
Oh, fantastic.
He's coming on the show, the lads who made it. He's a lovely fella. He really is. And do you know what? Gary Rigby, let's just get onto this. Gary Rigby says Hamilton Square is nice. Hamilton Square is beautiful. A fella named Ellison designed it. And Will P says, just like Littlewood's building, a hotel complex was supposed to be buying it. Then, next minute, it burnt down. Yes. But what they're doing, well, they're actually making it into a film studio. They're actually making it into a film studio.
And it looks like it will happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, because there's people working in there now, which is good.
Fantastic.
And, well, funny enough, Gary Rigby says, and we've just answered him, I didn't see this. What's going on with Littlewoods? Are they still talking about doing something with it, but nothing ever gets done? Yeah. They're actually working in there now, Gary and Will P. They're actually working in there now, and they're getting it all done up. It was terribly damaged. I was going to Italy, and I was in John Lennon Airport, and the news came through that it was on fire. Yeah. It's shocking, isn't it? Yeah. It's just shocking. You know, you've only got to look at London roads, and London roads have magnificent buildings.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was awesome, some of the buildings there. You've only got to look at the Fraser Street and the Shakespeare Theatre. The Shakespeare Theatre was magnificent, absolutely magnificent. And he bent that down.
Yeah.
I don't know why. One thing I did save, though, was the Collegiate on Shore Street, because they wanted to pull that down. That was burnt. I said, no, do not do that. And I gave them the historical significance of it, because the same architect, Harvey Lonsdale Elms, designed that first, the Collegiate, but he also designed just a bit later on. As he was building that, you know, we went in for a competition to build St. George's Hall and won it. So, you know, they haven't a clue. And then, you know, the White Mansion House in Calderstones, I had a hand in that. The Lyceum at the bottom of Bolts.
No, they haven't got a clue. And then money talks. And then, as we know, there are good developers. There are many bad. And the first rule of argument with a bad developer is to take away the opposition.
Yes.
It happens over. You know, I live on the Birkenhead side of the river now. It happens just as much, if not more, over here as it does in Liverpool, and it's still heart-rending wherever it happens. And there's no, in a different level, because it's not connected with our universe here. But there's been some wonderful articles about a wonderful pub cum hotel down south called the Crooked Hotel, which was burnt down by the developers. And now they've been ordered by the High Courts to put back the building brick by brick exactly the way it was. I think that's a fair way to start with a lot of buildings that go.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm gonna talk about some characters, if I might.
Yeah.
Some artists.
They're all characters.
You know, the artists the artists are magnificent, to be honest, because you've got the likes of people who haven't a clue, unfortunately, about them. Really, you haven't a clue. I'm talking about ordinary people here. Now have a look at this picture here. If we can take that down, just let me. I'm sorry about this, people. Sorry about this. I'm just going to take that down. I want to add this picture here. What do you think of that picture?
That's beautiful.
The way it's like a photograph, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's like a Dickensian illustration, isn't it?
Yes. And if you look in the background, there's a painting and a painting within a painting, and there's sculptors, there's everything, and he's actually looking at this particular like a cup or something. So it must be antique to him, because they're all full of antiques. What's in that room there? Anyway, the artist was a fella named Daniels. And Daniels was one of the great Liverpool artists.
Of the Victorian era?
Yeah. It was mid-19th century. 1848. That. Now, look at that.
Yeah.
And it's a very famous painting. But then again, no one recognises it, if you know what I mean. No one recognises the artist. And the artist is William Huggins. And Huggins was born, I'll tell you where he was born, around where my parish was, St. Joseph's Parish. That's where he was born. And if you think about it, and you know what? We always had here all these artists, all these great fellas, and poets, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
They always used to get together, and it stems from one of the great poets, and believe it or not, it was William Roscoe. The abolitionist of the slave trade, and he brought in the very first botanical gardens in the entire world. He said, I'm going to show Liverpool exotic plants. And he opened up the Botanic Gardens in Wavertree. That was in 1901. 1901. So he opened it up. And it was beautiful. So the likes of these people, they always used to congregate. Right now, where what's his name? Roscoe lived. The very first house that was built on Rodney Street was his house, and there's a plaque there, to tell you that it was the first house, Rodney Street. And so, what I'm going to say now is, it wasn't far from the Bohemian Quarter. We had a Bohemian Quarter, and this is where they always used to congregate. And as time went on, all these artists, and they still went to this Bohemian Quarter. This is long after William died, William Roscoe. Not long after, but short while after he died. And they still gathered, and do you know where it was? It was in Brownlow Hill.
Yeah.
That was the Bohemian Quarter, Brownlow Hill. So you can imagine, this is before that Adelphi went up, so it was around there, because there was, lots going on at the time in that little quarter of Liverpool. And that's where they always used to meet, the Bohemian Quarter.
It's built and built since then. I think the city could be classed as bohemian.
Yes.
And the very sense of imagination that drives this wonderful work that we're looking at now in the Victorian times still applies, and it goes back to the film that you were part of then. It's that because we're such a port of comings and goings and traffic and beliefs and cultural ideology and ideas and religion, it all comes out through art and music. And
it certainly does, Anthony, because when the Italians came over, they started to first come over in the 1870s, but these were workers. These were what you call, excuse me, terrazzo floor layers, you know, the mosaic, because they were the only ones who could perfect it. They were the only ones who could perfect it.
Sculptures.
And, well, two of my great uncles, they came over, and they were terrazzo floor layers, and they worked on the Port of Liverpool building. They worked on putting the mosaic down. So it was really great, you know, to think that at least, you know, part of my family came over and, you know, did something in Liverpool.
It's still majestic now as it was when it was laid. You know.
And you sorry, go on.
For me, a bigger part of what drives me for whatever I do is music. And my father-in-law, Laney's dad, who's now in his late 80s, 88, remembers as a child being encouraged to study mandolin, learn mandolin, because that was the music. That was the music of the courts, of Kew Gardens, of down towards Scotland Road. All of that was the music of the people, which was heavily influenced by the Italians. And I just wish, do you know where you have moments where you think, I wish I could pop into a TARDIS and just pop that back there for an hour and just listen to that, just to stand in the courts of the gardens and hear that music going on. That's I'd wish that I would love to do. You know, and my father-in-law, John, who you've met many times, he talks so lovingly of that time of education, but just living amongst it. Beautiful thing. That beautiful thing is that weren't hijacked by an establishment where you had to pay money to see. It was for the people.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? You know, you get these, like, as I said, these artists who are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they're unrecognizable. Now, the fella who painted that, right, just bear with me with this. Now, Daniels painted that. And look at the beauty of that.
That's beautiful. I mean, that style of painting got heavily known through Gainsborough, and Gainsborough's paintings were similar. But that is beautiful. That is gorgeous.
It is, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And then,
oh man, that is fantastic.
Now look at that.
Yeah.
Now this is Daniels. Look at the goldfish.
That's almost Leonardo, that, isn't it? That's just, yeah.
And it's like a Leonardo face.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Just like a but look at the beauty. Look at the expression on it. Look at the study on it.
Face, the movement and everything.
She's mesmerized. You know,
You feel
look at the
feel
eyes.
like you're in the room with it.
Yeah, she's mesmerised by these fish going around.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Look at the little bonsai tree as well in the background.
That's just brilliant. So
Isn't it just?
where is that? Is that to be seen, or is that a private collector?
I think it's a private collection, but that can be seen. I'm positive whether it's hidden again in the Walker
Okay.
Gallery. The Walker Gallery. But isn't that brilliant? Now look at them.
Yeah.
This is Huggins. Now let me tell you a little bit about Huggins, and you're not going to believe it. Look how beautiful they are, right?
Yeah.
Like every detail.
Yeah.
And the same as Daniel's, by the way, but specifically more on Huggins. And he has an exhibition down in London. And there was a very famous art critic down there named Hardy. So anyway, they say, oh, you've got to go and see this exhibition. Who's the artist? And they went, oh, I don't know, it's some chap. So anyway, he goes in and he's having a look around. And he says, who's the artist? Where's the exhibition? And he said, oh, William Huggins. So he goes through and he went, because of his name, Anthony, Huggins, he said, they can't paint. But a name like Huggins, they're no painters.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that biasness towards Liverpool people and a bloody name?
I think it still applies. I think it applies to the accent. I think it applies to his surname. Whether you're from Liverpool or whether you're from north of England to these people is we are the Celts, we are the warriors, the barbarians that live in the trees.
Yes.
It's insane. I think it's insane. And it's I remember when I got into art school, and my art school, which was the Laird School of Art in Birkenhead, and I was only there for a while, they weren't going to allow me in because of the fact that I didn't have science or mathematics on my curriculum, O levels. And my art teacher phoned them up and said, judge him on his work, which is what art school is all about. What's art school about? Not me going there and preaching about science or mathematics. So I got in that way, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it was. And after 2.5, 3 years, I left. And then you bang your head in life against walls. And then sooner or later, you find the place where you're supposed to be, and hence here we are.
Well, again, like Gary Rigby says, remember the Liverpool scene, Frank, where Adrian Henry and Brian Patton? Yes. And
Yes.
that's where the scaffold came into it.
Yeah.
Roger McGough.
Yeah.
John Gorman.
Yeah.
Mike McGear, Paul McCartney's brother.
Yeah.
So these were great people. These got together. But they were more around the crack.
Yeah.
By around the Phil, and that's where they loved us around there. That was their scene, especially where Adrian Henry lived.
Yeah.
Especially where he lived right facing Lippe.
Yeah.
Adrian Henry, and they were smashing people. I did a poem with Roger McGough.
Yeah.
Ian Roger. He said, will you give us a first line? And I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, oh, will you give us a line? I said, yeah, of course I will. Because it was about the history of Liverpool, so I gave him a line about the castle.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And, and he was made up with that.
I met him at that time because Roger McGough, I didn't know. We'd met him and befriended Mike and John. But when we were doing 100 Heads, I thought, I've got to try and connect with Roger because I grew up with his work, with scaffold, but also with his poems. And there's a wonderful, wonderful poem, and forgive me, I can't remember all of it, but I'll send you the words to it. And it's a poem called Big Ifs. So it's all about these colossal geniuses that we grew up with, Michelangelo and Leonardo and stuff. And Leonardo's line in the poem was just one more painting, and I could have showed them that I'm good, you know, I'm all right. And it's like, well, it only, but I loved Roger's work forever. And so we met him, and I painted him, and he joined the 100 Heads, as did Mike. But sadly, I never got round to finish John's. So John is stage 2 when we had.
I'd love you to do John Gorman. He's a lovely fella.
He's a lovely fella. Well, that's the crux of the matter for both you and I think for most of our friends who are with us, is that she's a lovely lady or he's a lovely fella. It's down to that. It's not down to, as we repeatedly say, it's not status.
Well, you know, I spent an afternoon with John Gorman.
Yeah.
Having a bevy, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'll tell you where we were. We were in Cases Street before he knocked that down.
Did you go to the Globe?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the Globe, and we went to the Fish Bar and things like that. Well, they're all gone now, you know. I'm going back though, Anthony, when Cases Street was still there, the whole of it, and they knocked it down with that bloody precinct.
Yeah,
these great pubs. Do you know what? I'll tell you something funny. I went. I always forget the name of it, but anyway, I went into this one. Just 1 or 2 along from the Globe as it is today.
Yeah.
And anyway, it goes in, and there was this, like, anyway, beautiful. And said, how would you like to take me out? And I went, yeah. When? She said, anytime. And I went, oh, okay. So anyway, it was made up. I was naive. I was so naive. And the lads, funny enough, I was only talking about, not about this incident. I was talking about one of my mates who had passed on. He said, do you know who you were talking to there? I said, yeah, that kid. He said, it's a fella. This lady, the barmaid. It's a fella. I went, oh. Shouted in. I won't be going there. Won't be going. Unbelievable. Thought it was a game. And spoke with a very gentle voice, you know. Good God, that's unbelievable.
We live and learn.
We live and learn, yeah, absolutely. And what do you think of this? Will P says, definitely the Scouse accent gets frowned upon.
Yeah, it does. It does. Or sometimes not even the accent. Well, it's where did you study, Anthony? Birkenhead, Liverpool School of Print. Oh, right. And the handshake is limp and wet, and you think, enough of this. you know. It's strange, and I don't know, but it doesn't wind me up so much now because I tend to avoid people like that if I can. But they're still there, and they're still there amongst us here in Liverpool. They come up from London and they bought a building, and yeah, it still exists.
It shows you, doesn't it? You know, the way. Is it? I don't know what it is. Is it snobbery or is it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
people forget about one of the lads up there. He said, and I'm going to say it. He said, Manchester, you know, is supposed to be the capital of the North. It pisses me off. That's what he says. That's what he said. Now, when you look back, I'm going back just a few years ago. And I was looking at the BBC Look Northwest or whatever they're called. And they said, and they showed a lion, you know, the steam engine, the oldest steam engine in the world today. And it was built here. It was ours. Yeah. And they had it for 30 years. And they wouldn't give us it back. But anyway, we finally got it back. And I'll never forget, is it Stuart Flinders or someone? He was reporting, he said, oh, look at the Manchester Lion that was built, you know, and such a... And I went, hang on a minute, it's ours. And you just chug it along, you know, it's ours. I was fuming over that.
That's the problem with marketing. Marketing is a very dangerous side to anything. See, I never used to. I always thought the North is the North, and I'm proud to be a Northerner. My dad's family, as I've said, from Scotland. My mum's from Ireland. So it's kind of a united group, you know. And when you think of Tyneside and all of that, and Manchester and Liverpool, we shared the same fight over many, many years. And I thought that was enough to unify us. But it's not, because even in Liverpool we have areas which you know, which side, where you're from, north side, and it shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter. With the North, the north of England has been dumbed down on the way Liverpool has been dumbed down on, and we all have our gifts, so it's better to share our gifts rather than, you know. But it gets harder and harder as time goes on, because it's a bit more tribal than it was when we were kids and studying and excited with the world. Always proud of where we came from. It was not as tribal as it is now. No, which is a problem, really.
Of course, it's a problem. Of course, and the point of it all is about accents and things like that. The BBC wanted me. They heard about me, but they never seen me work, or they never heard me. And the BBC wanted me to do some series with, I forget his name, some Scottish lad, because they were told. I was on that. I'll tell you what it was on. It was about around Britain. I forget what it was called. And anyway, I was on there, but it was on with. I was on the red button. Coast. It was called Coast.
Okay.
But I was on the red button. They never had me, you know, you had to press the red button to get more information about certain things. Yeah. So anyway, I did this. And they were made up. And then I get this email. They said, will you do this thing? As I said, yeah. And Tony Snell, I tell you, he said, "I tell you what, we'll send down one of your DVDs." So I said, "Yeah, okay." So it was the new one that we did at the time, and he sent it down. And I never heard from him again, the BBC. And do you know why it was? Have a guess?
Because they felt they didn't have an audience that could cope with a Scouse accent.
Yes, it was the accent. Think about that.
Oh, I think, yeah, and I think about it. Oh my God, I think I think the Scouse accent is beautiful, and there's a line, and I think it was Shelley, maybe another one. I said, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever." That's my way of looking at it, you know. And it's like we should not change to be uniform. You live in George Orwell's centre of any of George Orwell's books. If we all spoke in a BBC clipped accent, where are you from? Doesn't matter because we all sound the same. It's like tattooed on the forehead, number 7654. And so on we go. Scouse accents is a thing of beauty, and a thing of beauty is a joy forever.
Yes. Yes. And I think it was like what that lad who did that, you know, what it says 500,000 hits, by the way. 500,000 people have looked at it.
Yeah.
And when you think, Anthony, about, you know, he even said, don't forget, he done his research. And he's seen all this, what was going on, and the press about Liverpool. You've only got to look. Sorry to bring football into this, but it's only happened the other day with Liverpool. And the unfortunate thing with Liverpool was the Nottingham Forest supporters singing vile songs again. And Jurgen Klopp was hearing one, and he turned to them, and the face on him, disgusting. He's looking at them, more or less. You could tell that he was saying, "You disgusting pigs, why are you doing this?"
Ignorant.
We're ordinary supporters, ordinary working class lads.
No.
It was just horrible. And Gary Rigby says, "I used to get it in London, very patronising."
Yeah.
Then Ellis's goal. Getting off now, guys. Great show. Good night to Frank, Anthony, and everyone.
Good night, Thank you.
Good night. And Will Peace says, when I was a kid, it was known that if you lived in the Wirral, you were a posh scouser.
I'm certainly not posh. If, like a stick of Blackpool rock, you cut my head off, there would be, centred around there would be Scouser. Proud Scouser.
Very proud. Very proud. We're all very proud, aren't we?
Yeah, I get your point, Will, because there is a weird margin of people who leave their hometowns and travel like 20 miles, 15 miles, and then they start to play the game of reinvention. So there are a few of those on the Wirral, but most, thankfully, are not. Most of them are proud Scouters.
Well, Gary Rigby hits the nail on the head there, because he says a lot of people who are prejudiced against Liverpool have never been here. Yes.
They've
never been here.
because they believe what the TV or what the papers tell them. And sometimes we don't do ourselves any favors with the programs that go out.
No, no, I know. I'm not mentioning them, but I know what programs you're going on about.
And
because some of our lads, some of our friends, very good friends, have acted in them.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I'm going to show this. Look at that. That's that's Schofield. Now, as you know, Schofield's, that was along in Great Homer Street.
Yeah.
Right? The lemonade place.
That's right.
Now, did you ever drink any lemonade from there, Anthony?
Not. I mean, obviously, we bought it from the stores and the mobiles.
No, but I mean, did you drink it? Schofield's.
Yeah.
Well, do you know the water that it was made from? It's all right, don't panic.
No, we've had a great chat about the groundwater.
But believe it or not, there's lots of caverns in Liverpool. Do you know the original cavern in Matthew Street?
Yeah.
Right. Underneath that cavern, there was a lake.
Wow.
And where you see up by Kane's Brewery, right?
Yeah.
There's a big lake. I went there once. They sent for me, and I went up a few years ago. And they went, have a look at this. It's magnificent. You know where they were making all the beer? So I went downstairs. And they went, look at that. And do you know what it was? It was a lake with a little boat on.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Now then, Schofield's also had a lake. And that's where they made the lemonade. They got the water to make the lemonade from the lake, just like Kane's Brewery also took the water to make their beer.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, marvelous. I mean, I painted that purely because it was up there in my childhood years. I mean, the family had moved from Scotland Road then, and they'd gone to Kirby and then split up. And I was in Walton Vale. That's where I was born and stuff. But Schofield's was a big name up there. It wasn't Coca-Cola. It wasn't any of that. The Americanisms. Schofield's was the name. So when Lainey and I, in 1999, 2000, we decided I wanted to go back and paint what was left, or draw what was left of the history that I remembered hearing growing up. You know, like the Barham Street Tap. And sadly, lots of Barham Street had gone up, most of it gone. Other than that, slice of railway wall, which is still there, 8 foot of wall, and Schofield's was still there. And I couldn't believe it when we stumbled on it. I thought,
a lake underneath it. Yeah. And they used the water to make the lemonade. Just like Kane's Brewery.
Fantastic.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Because you in St. James's Cemetery, for example, Anthony, you go over, to the wall. There's Kane's Brewery there, look.
Yeah.
And that's where, the big lake is underneath. It's still there today. And when you go to St. James's Cemetery, and out the wall is coming out water. And they didn't know where for years where the source was coming from. They didn't know for years. They just didn't know, but it was just coming out the wall.
It's a lake.
Wasn't a fountain or anything. So, they tidied it up a bit. And then, they made something at the bottom so that it would go in. And believe it or not, if you got that water, and say like you had sore eyes, as my Auntie Mary used to say, if you had scabby eyes,
Yeah.
you put it on your eyes, and it was good for your eyes. This water that you can get today in St. James's Cemetery.
Must
You
have
put
been.
it on your eyes, if you suffer, like conjunctivitis or whatever. I believe it's really good. It's incredible. Do you know, I came out of, I was with this group of people, and I think I'm terrible, you know. Really, the kids are all those Finnish parliamentarians, you know, about Wellington's column on the statue.
Yeah.
And I said that it was Elvis. They were all made up. Elvis. Right. Well, I was with this other group. I think it was I'll tell you who it was. It was the bloody capital of culture people. And I said, why don't you just get Liverpool people in who know some history? Why have I got to come down all the time and taking these people around and telling them things? They wouldn't have it. They must have thought that I was after a bloody job. And they said, we are paying you, you know. I said, when? He said, well, when I finishes, never ever got paid off them, ever. And that's snidey, that's snidey. They made a lot of money, that lot. Anyway, I had these capital culture people, and the fountain was on, and it was beautiful. You know, Stebble Fountain, it was on.
Wow.
Right facing the Wellington's column, right facing the Walker Gallery and the library. And anyway, it was all flowing. And anyway, they were all by me, and they went, "Oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely?" I'm saying, "Yeah, it's great." I said, "But," I said, "I hope you realise that the mechanism's broke. It's broke, unfortunately." And they said, "Well, how's the water coming out?" I said, "Well, you've got, I don't know whether it's 3 or 4 fellas." I said, "And they've got like a made-up bike thing." I said, "You know, like a tandem." I said, "So, you know, 2." I said, "They've got 2. And the 4 of them are on it, and they're pedaling like mad to keep that going." He believed it. Anthony, they believed it, and I left them believing it. So he must have thought, this fella's a lunatic. He's making these things up. Like these Americans. These old Merseyside, will you take 11 of them? I said, "No, I don't want to take Americans around." So anyway, I brought I had to do it, you know. So anyway, I met them. And I met them by Victoria's Monument. And there I am, you know, by the law courts.
Yeah.
I went up, I shook hands with them. And he was a fella, obnoxious fella. And he just reminded me, do you ever remember Faulty Towers? Right.
Oh, yeah.
There was an American in it, and he wanted a Waldorf salad.
Yeah, don't mention.
Come on, Barry, I want a Waldorf salad. You know, that type of thing, you know, horrible. And this fella was like him. He reminded me of him. And he said to me, I was telling him about the castle. I said I was pulled down in 1724, unfortunately. And he kept on going all the way from the monument down Lord Street, going up to Church Street, saying, "Why did you pull the castle down?" And I got fed up with him. And I went, "It wasn't me who pulled it down, you know. I wasn't about in 1724, but he was poking me." Anyway, so we were walking up Lacey Street, you know, by the Fly in the Ointment.
Yeah.
Right, so he's there. And we looked up. It's one of my favourite streets, you know, that cobbled street. And at the end of the cobbled street, you see the Anglican.
Yes.
right? The Anglican Cathedral.
Yeah.
And I said, look at that. I said, and they were going, oh, magnificent, But, like on the way, as I said, this fella was going on, we've got bigger, we've got bigger, we've got bigger. Anything I mentioned, we've got bigger. You know what I mean? He was a horrible man. Anyway, I gets there and looking up, and I said, have you got cameras if you want? I said, take a few photographs. I said, because if you come back, say, this time, in 2 months' time, you won't see that cathedral. I said, because we're pulling it down. Because McDonald's have bought the building, and they're going to demolish it, and they're going to build a super McDonald's. And it's going to have a big cross on the top. And they believed it.
Yeah.
You what? The Waldorf fella. You what? You better Mackey's? Yeah, pulling it down. A big cross on the top, so we'll be all right. And then I go, but they told me, as he said, they said, why are you pulling down the cathedral? He said, what cathedral? They said, that big red one, the Anglican, is it, not the Catholic one, but that other one. And they said, we're not pulling it down. They said, well, that fella said they're pulling it down, me. Just sort of getting up bloody nerves.
It's kind of insane. It's like a moment from Monty Python's. It's insane enough to be true because this is what's going on in Wales. Yeah.
It could easily be.
Absolutely. If someone puts up money, said we'll buy it.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Have you ever seen this fella before?
I've seen that fella, yeah. I've seen the fella in the big picture, yeah. I remember painting that for a few weeks. I'll tell you what, though, that was nearly the last job I ever did.
Really?
Yeah, because I finished it the day before this presentation, and I wasn't at the presentation because I'd finished it. It was in the middle of winter. It was in the old school we talked about before, Colin McEwen's old school, and it was to go for a charity auction for the Lord Mayor's charity, for Kenny Marina's Dalglish charity, and another charity. And of course, we were hoping to get a £10 or a £25 for it. But I finished it at 8:30 in the evening, and it was too dark for me to take a photograph. And then I walked out of the school, slipped on black ice, and fell 6 foot and hit my head. Just as Lainey and the kids were pulling in to the car park to pick me up. It took the top of my head off.
Wow.
And Lainey was, God bless her, I don't know if she did it. I was semi-comatose. Lainey pulled up, you know where the school is in Kirkdale, and then she pulled up outside St. Anthony's Church, which we regard as our church, and we said a few prayers, and then she got me over our side of the water to Arrow Park, where they fitted me back together. So the next day we were obligated for the painting to go to a hotel in town to be auctioned and whatever. And it was a kind of a dodgy thing, and I don't want to get into all of that part of it, but
no,
to do with Kenny and all them. But one of the organisers was a bit underhand with it. So anyway, this was taken by the Echo. It's a wonderful memory of a great painting I enjoyed doing, but it was like a semi-traumatic.
Yes, nightmare, yeah.
Yeah, you go back in time and you think, we've had a few of those moments over the years, and that, you know. What doesn't stronger.
But it's appropriate because it's his birthday today.
Yeah, fantastic. And he's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. You know.
Oh yeah, Kenny.
Just
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I was at a function, Anthony. That's at the cathedral.
Yeah.
And I told him about John Kirk and Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
John Kirk giving him the inspiration, Dickens, to write Oliver Twist, especially about the birth of Oliver Twist. And all as he kept saying, hey Frank, I said, what? Oliver Twist. He's a Scotia. Because all night long.
Oh, you know what? we were at a similar function for the beginning of Culture Year, because the heads had already hit 2007. So we were asked by the organisers to present a small show of work in the cathedral. And we'd already met Kenny. Kenny was going to be part of the 100 Heads. So we met him there. The pictures were down one end, and Lainey and I were put on a table up the very top end. We were with a lovely lady sat next to me, and her obnoxious husband was sat next door but one. And he'd made his billions in packing crates. So he wasn't talking to anyone. He wasn't talking to any scouts. He wasn't talking to any artists. Why would he want to talk to any artist? And so his wife is making conversation, and she says, I believe Mr. Kenny Dalglish is here tonight, somewhere in the audience. And I said, yeah, he is. He's with Jimmy McGovern, and somewhere over the far side. She said, oh, well, Horace or whatever the guy's name was, he loves Kenny Dalglish. He loves him. And he wasn't getting involved in this because, And anyway, we finished what we were eating. And then Lainey, who was next to me, nudged me, and there's two figures. And you know what it's like there at these dues. The two shadows walking through tables, and you've got to dodge everyone because everyone's just pushing the chairs out. And it's Kenny and Jimmy. Right. So they walk from one end of the cathedral to the other. And as they get closer to us, this guy clocks him and his mouth drops. And he's wanting to say to his wife, it's Kenny Dalglish. He's coming over here. And then first thing Kenny does is he grabs Lainey, gives Lainey a big hug. He says, where's mine? I said, not there yet. And then he gives me a big hug. He says, where's mine? I said, next week, it'll be next week. And Jimmy's laughing at him. And this guy was just like flawed. And, those moments in time which do not happen often enough, believe me. And it's like you don't need to say anything. You just look at him and you go.
That's right. That's as simple as that.
Moments. So thank you, Kenny, for that. I'll live on that story forever. But he's one of the most wonderful people I've met in my life.
Absolutely.
True hero. Absolutely. Sports and just humanitarian. Just a lovely guy.
Yeah. And Gary Rigby says, only remember the old Paddy's marker from down there. Now, Gary, why it was named Paddy's market is simple, because when the Irish came over, I do the Irish. I did an Irish podcast for this Irishman, Padre Cronin, and he said to me, "Would you talk?" Because I lectured about the Irish coming over, all of like the famine and everything else, and potato famine, that is. And he said, "Would you do a podcast?" He said, "I've listened to you." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So anyway, I did it with him. And the point is, with the Irish, with the influx of 1847 coming over, they were wanting to get away. They were wanting to get away from the English in Ireland. And half of them thought that, well, the majority of them thought, because it took days to get here, they thought that they were in America. Anyway, and you go back before then, because when in 1815, the Napoleonic Wars were over and they let all the French prisoners go. Now, some were lucky by digging, they got no money, they got no money to go back home. So what had happened was, the likes of Joseph Williamson, the Mole of Edgehill, he hired them to dig the tunnels there. And they were lucky enough because they were going to get paid. Whereas the lads, there's Joseph Williamson there now. Whereas these other lads wanted to sell their wares, because what they did, sailors, Liverpool sailors, by the way, and other sailors from all over, they used to feel sorry for them, and they were always kept in prison down Water Street there, and they used to give them whalebone and whale teeth, and they used to carve out things. And, other things, and give them bottles where they made little ships and put them in the bottles and pull the thing, and the sails went up, the sails, when they pull the string.
One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Oh, unbelievable. And so they used to sell the wares. Now, they couldn't sell them, believe it or not, in Liverpool. In Liverpool, what I mean is, they had to go to Mile End, halfway up Scotland Road, as it was then. And Mile End was called Mile End because it was exactly a mile from there, down Scotty, to the town hall. Exactly a mile. So that's why they called it Mile End. But that was the boundary.
Yeah.
That was the boundary. So these French people, these French soldiers, to try and get back home and selling these things, used to sell the uniform, like the big coats and everything, to get money to get back to France. So they used to sell the wares there. So we go, we go a few years now. So we go to 1847 and the influx of the Irish. Now the Irish, they were penniless, but they had like something that they could sell. And it was the same. It was the same for the Irish as it was for the French to go to Mile End to sell. They couldn't sell in Liverpool, if you know what I mean, like the city centre or whatever. They couldn't sell. So they had to sell there. And as you know, Mile End, just a little bit further over, is Paddy's Market.
Yeah, great.
Because that's how it originated.
Yeah.
Paddy's Market.
I'd never heard that.
But you've heard it now. It's incredible, isn't it? What you can pick up. But that's how Paddy's Market came into the fore. Paddy's Market. Because people used to go there to buy off the Irish, whatever they had.
Yeah.
And it just stuck with them. Oh, yeah, where do you go? I'm opening a store where, Paddy's Market, albeit it was well and truly over. And let's see what Ian McHale says. I remember getting an invite to our executive box at Coventry City during my Marconi days. All the Coventry lot were giving it anti-Scouse jokes until Gary Mack banged one of them into silence. Gary McAllister. Shocking.
Thanks, Gary Mack.
And NFC Aaron, he says he's turned 73 today, Kenny.
Yeah. King Kenny.
The Brook under Tubrook is still there, isn't it? At the back of Green Lane. Yeah. Think it may connect into River Alt. That's a very good point there, because the source of St. James's Cemetery comes from the River Alt. Comes from the River Alt. It's incredible, isn't it? You know, what we've got here. Oh, there's Norman there. And I've just come in. Did you do that, Anthony? And that must have been Kenny. Yes, he did, Norman.
Yeah.
He did.
To Kenny, and this one, Joseph Williamson was drawn for the CD cover for our mutual friend Freddie O'Connor and the Friends of Williamson Tunnel.
Freddie.
400 years ago this year, or maybe a little less.
Freddie O'Connor. What a fella. He's gone. Well, Norman says he's using Anne, you know, his wife's account. He said, I've got a vast collection of Kenny Dalglish memorabilia. Where could I get a print of that?
Unfortunately, Norman, it's not available. I didn't, as I was saying to Frank before, I didn't even get a good photo of the portrait. And it was kind of bought or snapped under circumstances out of my control. So I have no access of getting it now. I can show you, and I will send through to Frank some images of it nearly completed. And if one of them fits the bill, then we'll get a print to you.
Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that brilliant, Norman? Isn't that brilliant? Yeah, so you're going to be all right there. And LFC Aaron. Frank, did you know Ken Dodd? Yes, I certainly did. And he was a great man. Ken gave me the greatest compliment I've ever heard in my life, when he said, Frank, you're the finest historian on Merseyside. The best. And I was, I was taken aback. I'll tell you who to ask, because he was standing right next to me when he said that. It was Tom Murphy.
Yeah.
Tom Murphy, and he went, he said, that's, when Ken went, shook his hands, and he went, that's some accolades, isn't it, for you? I said, I can't believe what he's just said. Yeah, I didn't know him, to be honest, Aaron. I didn't know. And as Norman says, that is outstanding, Anthony.
Norman, thank you. Again, Labour of Love. It was. I don't think either of us see ourselves as that. But thank you for that, Norman. But we do see ourselves as mutual souls.
Ordinary fellas who give respect out. And if you give respect back only a little bit, you're a friend for life. Am I right there, Anthony? Absolutely
right, Frank. Yep.
Isn't that nice as well from Norman? Two very talented gents. You two are brilliant. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Norman.
And there's a member of my family, Thomas Owens, Cilla Black's mum had a stall at that market. Certainly did. Certainly did. Cilla Black. Cilla White, Priscilla White.
Yeah.
Priscilla White. And I'll be getting hold of you there, Thomas, on Wednesday, as I said. I was talking to this morning. And Anthony, Norman says, Anthony, that would be brilliant. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. It's only what you said about him.
I will look through over the next few days, and I'll bounce you through to Frank and Jason, and then we'll show you, and then I'll have a print made up.
See, I've got to say it again. Anthony did a 100 Liverpool heads thinking as one. You know, the title says it all. It's a collective thing. It's what we think. It's what we dream of. It's what everything about Liverpool. Whether you're an adopted Scouser or what. And it goes from surgeons to doctors to poets to singers to footballers to anything, everything to do with the culture of Liverpool. And that's what that man did. And when he did it, I love our Jason, you know. And there you are, there's 100 heads. And the big, by the way, 100 heads at St. George's Hall. And he's the only artist in the whole world to have 100 exhibits in one go and in one venue. And there you are, there it is, right there, what you're looking at. And he's the only man ever to do it. Huge success. And it was absolutely brilliant. And two cracking blokes, you two, see Aaron. And Norman says, UK people don't want to recognise Liverpool people's incredible talent. My family worked there, backsides off in Liverpool, working with great Liverpool people. People don't realise how great this city was. We give so much, not just to the nation, but the whole world. Liverpool, if you think about it. I mentioned one thing, and we gave the very first electrified overhead railway in the world. We actually gave the X-ray first in Holland. We actually gave the very first radio broadcast in the world by Sir Oliver Lodge. We gave so much in its entirety to the world, not just to the nation, but to the world. You've got like Jeremiah Horrocks. Jeremiah Horrocks, 24 years of age when he died. He was a mathematician. He was a genius at mathematics. And in 16, I forget the date, unfortunately, it's one of those dates like 1624 or something. He actually looking through a telescope and he's seen the transition of Venus going around the sun. Think about that. Jeremiah Horrocks. And Manchester tried to stay. He came from there in Greater Manchester. I go mad when they said, I went mad like the lion. He says, yeah, he was born and bred in Toxteth, you know, the ancient chapel of Toxteth. That's where he was. That's where he studied.
Yeah.
And at Cambridge. And that's where he's buried. It's absolutely ridiculous what people, again, it's jealousy.
Jealousy, and marketeers who kind of rewrite the script to fit.
And Norman says, someone said to me once, why do you Liverpool fans go on about your history? I said, because no one gives Liverpool the credit it deserves. First overhead railway, X-ray, exactly. That's it. The first radio broadcast, think about that. The first radio broadcast. It's incredible what we gave. Do you know what else we gave? The very first hospital radio.
Wow.
The very first. And we also, to catch burglars, you're talking the 18th century, 19th century. We gave policemen rubber soles for two things. One, not to wake people up as they were sleeping. Yeah. And the other is to catch burglars. How about that? And we also gave the police in the 20th century the very first radio where, like in cars, police cars. We gave them. We gave them. So there's loads of first dock system in the entire world. First railway, passenger railway system in the entire world.
Yeah.
We gave so much. And yes,
we are, and you know what? I think there's a point in a conversation that we allow certain things to go over our heads without correcting people, and then sometimes they push the wrong button, and you say, "Well, actually, that's not right. This is what's right. This happened," And some people take it on the chin, and some people don't like that idea that you can correct them, because of course every country has got a capital, and the capital is reportedly the head brain of the country, not in England, Ireland, Wales. Well, whatever in England, but we're kind of not in England, as we've seen with that wonderful film.
Isn't it good though? I'll have to end on these comments. We'll have to finish. Gary Rigby, think of all the famous people from Liverpool. It's endless, but they only know the Beatles. Tell you what else we gave the world.
Well, they were big.
In 1831, we gave the very first zoological gardens in 1831 up in Sefton, not Sefton Park, I'm sorry, up in Shield Road, Shield Park. That's where the very first zoo was in the world. And as the Freedom says, first public railway between Liverpool and Manchester, right, Frank? Yes.
Yeah.
First in the world. And Manchester. People singing Shine On all the time. You ask my family, who for decades worked with Scousers in hotels, in the docks, fruit markets, Liverpool, all decent, hard-working people. Yes. Gary Rigby says, I can't stand Brian Cox for saying Manchester is the centre of the universe. Well, he's just I understand. I'm the equivalent of him, by the way, in academia. In academia, Brian Cox. The System X telephone exchange is manufactured on Edge Lane. Yes, at Plessy's, built in Liverpool. Yes. And I forget, it's gone out of my mind, so I don't want to be thinking about it and going mad. But anyways, it's gone again. It's gone again. Sorry. Anyway, Frank and Anthony, Dealey Plaza, where JFK was killed, was named after George Dealey, who, guess what, lived in Liverpool, the greatest city in the world. Yeah, he did, actually. He did.
Didn't know that.
And don't forget, the likes of, it's gone from me. It's gone. It's completely, and I was going to say so, another first, and I couldn't even think what it was, unfortunately. But anyway, it's another first. It's there. It's in the minds. I might talk about it next week. But what I do want to talk about with my dear friend Anthony, if you don't mind, Anthony,
No.
about, just give me 1 second. Just 1 second, please. And I think everyone will be made up with this. What we'll be talking about next week. Victoria Cross holders. Victoria Cross holders. That's who we'll be talking about next week. If you're up for it, Anthony.
I love to learn from you. I'm with you.
So we'll be talking about them. I'll give you the stories about William Radcliffe. I'll give you the story about the very first recipients of the Victoria Cross, another fine gentleman. So bear with Anthony and I next week, and we'll be giving you a good thing. And also, I'll be talking about a fella named Johannes Heim, and I'll explain next week. Johannes Heim. Okay, Anthony, thank you so much.
Frank, it's been such a pleasure. If I could just pop in for 1 second, we were talking before about artists of Liverpool, and there was one I regard as fairly meteoric talent throughout the 50s, 60s, slightly before my time, although I met him, and he's a wonderful but quite formidable chap, and his sculptures were around the city throughout the 60s, and it was quite shocking in some ways. Arthur Dooley, the great Arthur Dooley, whose building was on Steel Street, and Lainey and I were fortunate enough to meet him as we moved into the building, which used to be his. I just wanted to drop his name. I had a total mind blank before when we were talking, and I didn't want to end the show without mentioning him.
I'm glad you did, because I never ever met him, but I had gone into a studio after he passed on. Yeah. And some of his work was still there, unfinished.
Yeah.
Just unfinished. And wasn't he big though as well?
Yeah.
I've seen a few photographs of him. Yeah. And unbelievable. Oh, isn't this lovely? I'll just finish off with these fantastic things. Tony LFC. Great show, Frank and Anthony. 2 thumbs up. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Norman, brilliant, incredible knowledge by both gents. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. That's very kind for me, anyway. Frank is the man.
No, Hero is Christ on Princess Avenue. Yeah, that's right. He's got his Christ there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's got one in the Catholic Cathedral. Or is it St. Joseph? I'm not quite so sure now. I'm not quite so sure. Arthur Dooley.
Yeah.
Man.
Tower. Big man, big personality, big work. And considering how kind of religious to a degree. Liverpool was to have his work featured the way it was. It's astounding achievement.
Oh, absolutely. And he was in the Irish Guards, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish Guards, yeah.
Wow. You know.
Did you know that?
He had that. Well, he had that kind of bearing. He was
yeah,
big.
he was working. Yes, 7'8" tall, huge.
Yeah.
That was really gentleman. But anyway, I've just got to thank the sponsors of the Frank Carlyle Show, which is Gap Painting Services. Thank you so much for sponsoring me. Also, you know, if you ever need any painters and decorators, get onto these. If you're at OHP, get on for them because you get a great discount. If you're, you know, NHS working, or if your daughter or your wife or your husband or anyone who's an NHS worker, get them in because you'll also have a great discount. But even if you don't work for them, you're not at OHP and you need some decorating done, get them in because they're all first class lads. Not only first class lads, they're fully insured, fully time served as well. So they've done their apprenticeship and they are brilliant. I've had them in my show. So there you have it. And lovely. And Gary Rigby says it must be about Arthur Dooley. He was the spitting image of my dad, believe it or not.
Wow.
And he says, great show, guys. See you next week. Thank you so much. And
thank you,
I hope you have all enjoyed it. I've got to thank Anthony for keeping me company this evening.
I'm just sorry I was late on.
No, you know, I did my best, you know, trying to entertain the people out there. But as you know, they're all great people. And just have to thank you. I have to thank Jason as well for producing the show and getting those pictures up. As well. And also, if you I know there's loads of lads on there that are all Liverpool fans. I'll be doing my pod tomorrow night, starting at 8 o'clock. And we'll be talking about Saturday's match, I'm sorry. We'll be talking about that. And the Darwin last minute, unbelievable. Well, not last minute, it was the 98th, isn't it? So we'll be talking about that and the controversy surrounding it. Those horrible Notts Forest fans who got a right kicking up the backside when he scored. And the pre-match thing for Thursday, we'll be talking about that. And I'd like you to pick your team. Who should be rested? Don't forget, we've got City on Saturday. And it's just for me to say a big thank you to you all out there, and especially to Anthony Brown, a great guest, great friend, and an all-round good egg. And until tomorrow, people, thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.